Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about unity and coherence of your essays. And you already learned that an essay should be organized into an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Sorry, let me choose my introduction, body, and a conclusion. So now we need to make sure that all three parts of the essay work together and all of them serve to convey our meaning clearly, explain our topic clearly. So what is unity? Unity is the connection of all the ideas to a single topic. As I always tell you, all ideas in your essay should relate to the thesis statement, and the supporting ideas in a main body paragraph should relate to the topic sentence. So essay is like a longer paragraph which has clear introduction and a clear thesis statement, and the middle paragraphs support this thesis statement and nothing else. We don't want any irrelevant topics. If you suddenly start talking about something else, your essay will not have unity. Okay, so please read the essay on page 79 about Chinese medicine. Okay, it's on the next page. And do these tasks. Underline the thesis statement with 2 lines. Underline each topic sentence with 1 line. List the supporting ideas in each main body paragraph on a separate piece of paper. Actually, you don't have to do this. You can just underline the supporting ideas. And when you finish, review the topic sentences and ideas to see if the essay is unified or not. If all the supporting sentences relate to the topic sentences, and all the topic sentences, do they relate to the introduction and the thesis statement? If yes, then it means this essay has a unity in itself. So please pause the video now and do the exercise by yourself. And when you're ready, come back to check your answers. Now I am moving on to the answers. Well, the first thing that I'm going to say is not included in the uh, answer key, but actually I have found the introduction to be too long. For example, there is a wordiness here. Could this really be a doctor's surgery? It seemed very strange to me. Actually, there's a wordiness here. These 2 sentences can be just said in 1 sentence, if you ask me. And Chinese medicine is thousands of years old. The plants in the jars in his office were herbs. These herbs could be mixed together to make medicines. He explained the philosophy of Chinese medicine. I think this is this needs conjunctions and sentence connectors to make it easier to read, easier to follow, and thus clearer and easier to understand. Okay, anyway, here is the thesis statement. The philosophy of traditional Chinese medicine. Yes, the sentence that starts with the philosophy of traditional Chinese medicine is not the same as the philosophy of modern medicine, but it is useful for curing many health problems. Okay, so this is our thesis statement. Okay, let's read the paragraphs. Modern medicine focuses on illness. I think what our writer means here by illness is symptoms. I think he means symptoms. So, modern medicine actually focuses on healing the symptoms of an illness, not the cause of an illness. If a patient with a cough visits a modern doctor, then the doctor will give the patient a medicine to stop the cough. If the patient also has a fever, then the doctor will give a medicine to stop the fever. So, so this is how you heal the symptoms, not the illness itself. Illness, so the Western doctors usually see illness as an enemy. They use medicines like weapons to fight diseases. So here we have two main ideas, actually. The first one is that modern medicine focuses on symptoms, healing symptoms, and also modern medicine sees the illness as an enemy. Okay, two main ideas we have. And in the second paragraph, Chinese medicine, in contrast, Chinese medicine, in contrast, so there's a comparison with modern medicine, right? As you can see. Chinese medicine, in contrast, has a different philosophy. Instead of focusing on a patient's health problems, Chinese medicine tries to make the patient's whole body well again. So it means that the first main idea in the second paragraph is that the Chinese medicine doesn't focus on symptoms, but it has a holistic approach. When you consider the whole of something, we call it a holistic approach. So Chinese medicine is concerned with the whole body, not only the symptoms. And also, it talks about two types of energy, yin and yang. And yin, it says, is quiet and passive, and yang is active. So when these two energies are in an equal balance, the person is healthy. But when there's an imbalance, there is illness in the body because the body cannot function properly. And so in order to make a person healthy again, the doctor gives a mixture of herbs that will restore balance, and as a result it will make the whole body healthy again. So the cough and the fever will just heal themselves. They will stop naturally. Okay, so we understand that the Chinese medicine doesn't focus on symptoms of illnesses, but it focuses on the whole body, the health of whole body. But if you have noticed, seeing, okay, so this is the contrast of this one. These two ideas are contrasting ideas. But what about this? Western doctors usually see an illness as an enemy, and they use medicines to fight diseases. There is no contrast to that here. No contrast. But in a compare and contrast essay, you need to contrast all aspects, yeah, every aspect of two things. All right. So if you say one thing about item one, you need to say what is different about it in item two. If you say, main idea two of item one, you need to compare and contrast it to something else, to main idea two in item two. So so you cannot just say this, you cannot just make a point and include no contrast about it or a comparison about it in the second part, right? So this is what, if you ask me, uh, this is what spoils the unity of this essay. And in the conclusion, Chinese medicine definitely works for some health problems. It is a, rephrasing of the thesis statement. So, okay, the except for being too long, I think in the introduction we don't have a problem, and the conclusion is also a suitable conclusion. But there are two main ideas, two main points made about modern medicine, and one main point made about the Chinese medicine. So the second main point about the modern medicine is not compared or mentioned to Chinese medicine. So that's why I believe there's a small defect. That is a small defect of unity. Okay, so one way to keep unity in an essay is to edit the outline. Edit the outline for ideas that are not relevant to the thesis statement or topic sentences. So outline is very important, plays a very important role in unity of the essay. In the outline, you need to decide which ideas are irrelevant or relevant, so that you don't add them or you can omit them from your essay. It will help you see if it is unified or not. And likewise, after you write the essay, you should revise the essay, review the text and look for ideas that do not relate to the topic, the thesis statement or the topic sentences of your paragraphs. If there is anything that you missed or if there's anything irrelevant, to see that review is very good. Okay, read this thesis statement and main body paragraphs. Thesis statement is sign language. The language used by many deaf people has a 500-year history. Okay, read this, and the writer, after writing down his essay, the writer goes back to his essay, and now he is, as you can see, crossing out some parts that he thinks they don't belong. So, but still, there is a very large body of text that the writer cannot see. And this large body of text should be omitted as well. Please pause the video now and find out which part of this essay should be completely omitted, should be completely left outside the essay. And when you're ready, come back to check your answers. Right now, I'm moving on to the answers. Okay, so the essay is generally about sign language for deaf people, and it should focus on only that, all right? But here in this part, using these signs, he developed a more complete French sign language. It is talking about Frenchman Abbé de Lepi. Another Frenchman, Louis Braille, also lived during this time. He invented the system of reading and writing for blind people. All right. And so Braille alphabet is for blind people. It is not for deaf people. And it is not a sign language. It is a language that you read using your fingertips. So it has nothing to do with our topic. It should be crossed out. And then it continues. In Germany, a man named Samuel Hennicke, was another important teacher of the deaf during this time. However, he did not use sign language for instruction. Instead, he preferred to teach the deaf to understand other people by looking carefully at other people's mouths when they spoke. And this is called lip reading or speech reading. Again, our topic here is the sign language. Okay, lip reading or speech reading is also used by deaf people for communication, but it is not our topic. Our topic only focuses on the sign language, which is a language that you use using your hands, using hand gestures, as you can see in the picture in the next page. Okay, so lip reading is not the sign is not the same as the sign language because you don't make any signs using your hands. Okay, and it continues. Speech reading became very popular for teaching the deaf in the in the United States in the mid 1800s. And it talks about Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, who strongly supported teaching deaf people to speech reading, etc., etc. So it is still about speech reading, and it has nothing to do with sign language. So it should be completely omitted. It should be left out. Okay, so from here to here, a whole body of writing should be omitted so that the essay has unity. All right, we are on page 82 now. Sorry, my PDF is following us from behind. That's why sometimes I have to speak before I read, and I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so coherence. Let's talk a little bit about coherence. Okay, ideas that are arranged in a clear and logical way are coherent. When a text is unified and coherent, a reader can easily understand the main points. Again, creating an outline helps make a well-organized essay. When organizing your ideas, you should think about what type of organization is best for your topic or essay type. All right. And here are some examples of types of writing and good ways to organize them. Chronology is recounting historical events or personal narratives or processes of doing things or making things in the order of they happen. Order by time or order of the events, order of the steps. So if you are talking about a historical event or a personal narrative, a personal story, or the process of doing or making something, then it is best for you to use this kind of chronological type of writing. Description is when you describe something. You can include the physical appearance and where it is used, why it is used, by whom it is useful, and some other features. You need to, when you describe something, you can order what you describe. You can order your writing according to the position, the size, or the shapes of the thing that you are describing. Classification. Classification means grouping ideas and explaining them in a logical order. So this is what you use when you need to classify things in your writing. Comparison and contrast means you've got two things. By comparison, we mean when you talk about the similarities between the two, and by contrast, we mean when you talk about the differences between the two. And as I told you before, you can make main points about item one, and you need to counter it, compare and contrast it in all its main points in item 2. You shouldn't leave nothing out between the two. And argumentation, persuasion, and cause and effect. In this one, you organize the thoughts, the ideas from least important to the most important, and also you have an argument. First, you give a general information about the topic, and then you arrive at your argument in your thesis statement. And in the organization, you make some main points to explain why you think that way, why you believe that. And in the body paragraph, you organize these main topics in a way to persuade the reader that your argument is correct. And persuasion also does the same, but there is a small difference between argumentation and persuasion, argumentative essays and persuasive essays. Persuasive essays are more personal, about more personal matters, but argumentative essays are more about facts. And in an argumentative essay, for example, you are expected to support your argument using actual data, actual statistics, and actual facts found, researched for on the internet, for example. But in a persuasive essay, how persuasive you are, I mean, the language that you use, and it is more important than the research, and it can be more personal. You may be trying to persuade someone about a more personal thing, and instead of using actual scientific data or statistics or facts, you can use examples from your own life, for example. So it is more informal than argumentative. Argumentative is more formal. And the scientific papers that we write for journals, academic journals, all of them are argumentative papers, argumentative essays, although they are very, very long essays. I mean, very long essays we generally call paper in informal language, or article in formal language, scientific article, of course, not news article. So, but from now on, I'm going to call them papers. All right. So these scientific papers are a longer version of essays, and they are objective, and they are solely based on scientific facts, data, and statistics. Okay, so look again at the essay in exercise 1 on page 79, the Chinese medicine. So what type of organizational pattern does the essay use? I already gave you the answer, actually. It uses compare and contrast pattern. What about the text in exercise 2 on pages 80 and 81? So what do you think? What kind of organizational pattern does this essay use? As you can see, it focuses on 500-year history of the sign language. So we can say that it is a chronological type of writing. Okay, cohesive devices. So cohesive or cohesive, I don't know. Cohesive means cohesive is the adjective form of coherence, which is the noun form. Okay, cohesive devices are words and phrases that connect sentences and paragraphs together. All right. An essay is not sentences that are put one after the other. All right. They are not list of sentences. Okay. They are not merely only list of sentences. These sentences should have a connection between them. They should have a flow of ideas. Okay, they should start somewhere and end somewhere, because it should be readable, right? So you shouldn't let the reader to make connections by themselves. You should make the connections while writing for the reader. All right. So we need to connect these sentences with words and phrases, which are called cohesive devices. And we need to have transitions, pronoun references, and repetition of key ideas in order to emphasize the most important ideas or the flow of the ideas, and make sure that the reader, it is easy to make connections between ideas for the reader. Okay, transitions. There are many transition words and phrases in English that you can use to connect sentences or relate ideas to each other. Here are several types of writing and some common transitions that are used with them. You can use this list while you are writing your own essays. You can consult to this list, and you can use these conjunctions and sentence connectors, transitive verbs. Sorry, not transitive words. For example, if you have a chronological writing, you can use before, after, next, since, first, second, third, last but not least, while, when, etc. These are the transition words that we generally see in chronological writing types. In comparison, you can say likewise, compared to, similarly, as, as, and. These indicate comparison, and the following indicate contrast. However, on the other hand, but, yet, in spite of, in contrast, although, instead. To indicate additional information, you can connect sentences using and, also, in addition, in fact, furthermore, moreover, another is, another was. To give examples, you can say, for example, in general, generally, for instance, specifically, when you want to be specific. You say generally when you are talking about a general idea. You say specifically when you are talking about a specific idea, an idea specific to that context. Or you can also say in particular. It means especially. You can also say especially. Okay, to indicate cause and effect between ideas, you can use therefore, so, thus, hence, as a result, since, because. These indicate cause and effect. And to concluding ideas, you can say in conclusion, in summary, finally, therefore, to conclude, and or to summarize. Okay, we only got 10 minutes left because I don't have a premium Zoom membership. Okay, so please do number 4 as a homework. All right. You need to read the paragraph and complete the blanks using any of the transition words in the list. Okay, pronoun reference means two sentences can be connected by the use of a pronoun. Pronouns are words that we use instead of nouns or noun clauses. Or whole sentences, we can use them. He, she, it, they, etc. And here is an example. American Sign Language developed from the mixture of signs used by deaf Americans and French Sign Language. Today, it is used by more than 500,000 deaf people in the United States and Canada. So it here refers to American Sign Language. Okay, and here is another homework for you on page 84. For each of the italicized, it is a little bit difficult to see the italicized words, but here they are. D, E, F, G. Okay. So please read the paragraph and write here what each of these pronouns stand for. All right. Of course, you will find them in the paragraph, okay? Right here, what these pronouns refer to, okay? All right, repetition of key nouns or ideas. Another way to connect ideas in an essay is by repeating important words and phrases. This will help the reader remember the main ideas in the text. So, modern medicine focuses on illness. If a patient with a cough visits a modern doctor, then the doctor will give the patient a medicine to stop the cough. If the patient also has so cough is repeated, all right? If the patient also has a fever, the doctor may give a different medicine to stop the fever. Fever is repeated. For every person with a cough, the doctor will probably recommend the same cough medicine. So, like coughing and fever. So these are repeated to emphasize the idea here and to make the main idea easier to follow. All right. But too much repetition is not very good. Okay. So we shouldn't do too much repetition. We should do it just to emphasize the main idea. Okay. And read these revised paragraphs from the essay on sign language and underline examples of transition use, pronoun reference, and repetition of keywords. Please pause the video now and try to do it by yourself. And when you're ready, come back to check your answers. Okay, here are the transitions. I'm going to indicate them in red. Okay, we have in addition here, and we have and then we have after that, and again, as a result of, okay, this and after that and they suggest a process of something, the order of the events, and as a result here suggests cause and effect. Okay, and that's all for the transitions. And I'm going to indicate pronoun reference with blue. Okay, le P, he started to learn. So he refers to le P. And he developed, again, the same person. And then we have Thomas Golladay. So he traveled to Europe. He was 27. And these refer to Thomas Golladay. And he brought with him Lauren Kleur, a deaf sign teacher. As a result of his experience, is this Lauren Kleur or Golladay? It is Golladay. And clerk, Golladay, clerk. So the name of clerk is used instead of a pronoun, and Golladay, the name of Golladay is used here instead of the pronoun to prevent confusion. To prevent confusion between two men. Because for both of them, you have to use the pronoun he, so it may cause a confusion here. Okay, and lastly, sorry, before that, American Sign Language developed today, it is used. It here refers to American Sign Language. And lastly, I'm going to indicate repetition of keywords in pink. Sign language, sign language, sign language. Again, sign language and sign language. The word sign language is repeated several times in this first paragraph to emphasize the topic. American Sign Language, it is continued to be. And the second repetition is deaf people, deaf people. And then we have deaf sign language teacher. sign language teacher, repeat it. And sign language, French sign language, repeat it. All of them creates a kind of cohesion in the essay. Okay, this part is again your homework. Please read the paragraph and revise it to see if you can add connections. If you can add connections to these, you know, among these sentences. Okay, just skip 8, 9, and 10. And here is the review. Please do the review as your homework. I'm running out of time here. And then you remember the essays that you have written. Sorry, we don't do this part. Okay, you remember the essay that you have written. You swapped essays with your partner already to check the introduction and the conclusion of each other's essay. Check. So what you should do is to rewrite your introduction and your conclusion. And this time you are going to swap essays with the same partner so that you can comment on each other's unity and coherence. So you're going to check the ideas for any irrelevant ideas and for the coherence, for transitions and the logical flow of the sentences, okay? And then rewrite your essay, edit your essay according to your partner's comments and upload on Google Classroom your first draft with your partner's comments on it. And plus your second draft for me to check. But just like you do in your first draft, please leave gaps between the lines or at the end of the document for